The following program is a UNC Charlotte production.
Welcome inside UNC Charlotte. In this edition, we examine the role of research, how it works within the university, and its impact on the Charlotte region.
The research that our faculty and students are doing brings new ideas and new approaches into the classrooms and to the labs every day.
Basketball season is right around the corner. The Charlotte 49ers men's and women's basketball teams enter this season with high expectations.
If we play to the level that we're capable of on both sides of the ball, anything can happen with this crew. I think the sky's the limit for them.
Then we'll explore groundbreaking research into how the countless bacteria in our bodies influence our health and well-being.
There are something like 10 times more microbes within the human body than there are human cells.
All this and more inside UNC Charlotte. UNC Charlotte enjoys an expanding role as North Carolina's urban research university. Research is increasingly at the heart of our service to the Charlotte region and beyond.
What happens at a university that everybody thinks about is that students are going to class, students are taking on knowledge, so that imparting of knowledge, that's one of the big three, one of the things that happens at a university. Second thing that happens is that the learning drives us to new ideas and to research. So creating new knowledge, that's the second part of what happens at a university. And at publicly dedicated universities, universities that are looking to have impact on the world around them, translating the results, translating the learning, and also the new knowledge is the third part of what happens at a university. Our faculty put a special emphasis on translating their work and their results to have impact on both the social, the cultural, and the economic community around us.
EPIC, the Energy Production and Infrastructure Center, is a university-industry partnership to make energy more sustainable and more reliable for this region, but also globally. So we have a number of energy companies which are developing large power plants, develop the infrastructure around the power plants, but also the T&D part of it, smart grid, the transmission corridors, and the high power conductors to actually transmit this power. So EPIC responds to that industry need for the research, but also doing some of the labor force development, also engineering training for these companies.
With Charlotte, a major urban center, UNC Charlotte is the urban research university for North Carolina, and Charlotte is the laboratory for UNC Charlotte.
My collaboration is mostly with the medical institution here, which is one of the largest institutions, which is Carolina's healthcare. And I would not be able to do my research without them, just because my research is very translational. So I was very fortunate that Carolina's Medical Center had a whole group of hepatobiliary pancreatic cancer group that are comprised of oncologists and surgeons, and they were extremely helpful and extremely collaborative for us to be able to do some translational work with them. What they really want to do is impact patients, and the only way they can do it is by bed to bench side research or bench side to bed research. And so that translation is important both ways, not only for me, but for them as well, because whatever we learn from the bench side is applicable to the bedside. And both wouldn't be possible unless we do the research in UNC Charlotte that can then go back from the bench to the bedside and actually have an impact on patient.
We have to make sure that we're on the forefront and that we are able to update our curriculum with the methods that we're developing in our lab, which are going to be state-of-the-art over the next year or two or three. So that integration of research and education is something that is a lot of work, but it's a lot easier work to do when you're the one who's sort of pushing the boundary anyway. And so we want to make sure that our students are coming out of here trained on absolutely the cutting edge, the state of the art. And we think we're working there. And so we are very happy to do that extra work to put into the curriculum.
The research that our faculty and students are doing brings new ideas and new approaches into the classrooms and to the labs every day.
Active research is very important in our academic field in computer science. For one thing, it provides another path of education for the students. So we have research experiences for graduates, which is a very important program to get students involved in research. And what we found is that as often as not, these students are very high quality students that the employers really want. And it also gives them greater options, for example, to go to graduate school. So the strategy that we're following, that the businesses that we supply students to are very much on board for, is what we call the T-shaped student. So a student has depth in a certain field, but also breadth in terms of communication, in terms of knowing about applications, in terms of working together in groups, and research provides all of those activities to the students.
So imparting knowledge and learning, researching and creating new ideas, and then taking those new ideas and putting them to work, translating them into new applications. That's what a university is all about.
The Charlotte 49ers men's and women's basketball teams enter the season with high expectations. Inside UNC Charlotte's Ryan Rose sat down with head coaches and players from both teams to preview the 2012-2013 campaign.
Hi fans, welcome to our Charlotte 49ers men's basketball preview. Ryan Rose with you, and of course that means we've got the head coach, Alan Major, back. We've got a youth moving in here today, but a couple guys that played 30 minutes a game last year, so fire tested, I would say. Sophomore Perrier Henry, and we've got junior Demario Mayfield here with us. Coach, did you learn some things about some of these guys last year that you didn't know, and what kind of things have you guys been doing in the offseason to kind of get this thing moving towards the way you want it to go?
Yeah, I think especially with these two, they showed a level of toughness for really being in their first years of college competition. I mean, you got Perrier right out of high school, and DeMario's situation is unique. A lot of people don't know. Freshman year at Georgia, really didn't play a whole lot. So, not so much, in their rotation, and then he sits out a year due to the transfer rule. They showed me a level of toughness that I thought they had, but they showed more than that. And so I was really proud of these two for logging the minutes that they logged and getting thrown to the fire right away. It's going to do nothing but help them. And, in terms of our team, when you're close like that, we took a step last year and we got better. I want us to take a couple more steps, but when you go through the fire like that, that shows you that you're not as far away as you think you are. And this year, we want to take that next step and get over the hump on those nights where you're right there.
Let's talk about your off seasons. And Demario, start with you. What things have you done to kind of improve your game in ways that you think you may be able to contribute to the team cause this year?
I mean, my biggest concern that I took into the spring, like after the season, was working on my free throws. I had a bad shooting free throws last year, and also I've been working on being more of a leader, communicating with guys a whole lot better, and I also been working on being more of a consistent mid-range shooter.
All right, so things we'll look for from his game. Perrier, a whole lot of steals last year, one of those guys, and as a freshman, dishing it out. What are some things that we may see from your game that are better from last year?
Just decision making, just making sure that my team gets the best shot every possession. Really just having faith in my team and being a point guard, controlling, the offense, and then on the defensive end, just trying to lead by example. And hopefully, I believe that my team will fall in hand and they'll fight with me.
And we haven't talked about Braz, your 1,000-point scorer, along with the core, another guy that played basically 30 minutes a game last year. Right. What bright things for you guys this year, perhaps?
Yeah, I think you got these two guys. You got your point guard, a wing, and a big that were all heavy minute guys. And so you got 3 experienced guys at your 3 key positions, you know, point guard or wing guy, and then the post. So even though they've been through it and they've got experience, we still want to continue to drive them to improve.
And then lastly, we get to this schedule, a couple of new teams in the A-10. You're going to play both of them in VCU and Butler. The schedule's laid out for you. You don't have a whole lot of time away as far as long stretches, but boy, a challenging schedule laid out for you this year.
Yeah, but you know what? I can't wait, because this crew has put it together a lot of time. From the day our St. Joe's game ended, we gave them a little bit of time off. We got right back at it in the spring. Guys had a terrific summer, both on the floor, off the floor, academically with summer school. And so it's as you try to build this to where we want it, it's not just ball, it's how you handle yourself, both as a student, as a man. And guys are starting to understand when you do that, all that's going to translate into being successful. And with a schedule like this, clearly it's the toughest one we've had in 3 years, but you know, I want to find out. You know, I think any team that's got a competitive heart to it, you want to know where you stand. And the beauty of it is, it's still 5-on-5 at the end of the day. Right. So they can't play 8 guys against our 5. So if we play to the level that we're capable of on both sides of the ball, anything can happen with this crew. I think the sky's the limit for them. And
it will be so much fun to watch these guys play. I can't wait. I mean, I know you guys are chomping at the bit to get out on the court, but there's a little rowdy crowd waiting in Halton Arena to watch you guys play. It'll be a lot of fun. Yep. Appreciate your time today, guys. Good luck this season. Best of health to you guys. I know it's going to be a whole lot of fun. We need to get Halton Arena rocking again, fans. We'd like to thank head coach Alan Major and 2 of the core of this unit for the 2012-13 season, Perry A. Henry, DeMario Mayfield. Thank you, guys. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that's our men's basketball preview segment. We've got the women coming up next. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in Halton Arena. We are talking women's basketball with you here. Charlotte 49ers women's hoops, Ryan Rose, and that's Kara Consuegra, our head coach. Welcome back.
Thanks, Ryan.
Year 2 for you, so kind of a fun time. And let's talk to some of your seniors as well. We've got Jay Forney, Jennifer Haley, a couple of these seniors. Now you are on Twitter. You're one of the few head coaches that decided let's just take the plunge. At C Consuegra, that is a note to you people to get out there and follow at C Consuegra. Let's talk about that a little bit. Your Twitter experience so far and the kinds of things that you like to tweet about from your account.
Well, I enjoy it. It's a fun way for me to be able to interact with fans and the community and players and recruits. And so the whole aspect of it for me is fun, to just have a personal touch and be able to, I really use it to talk about the team and what's going on in our lives. And yesterday I tweeted about practice and what's been good, what we need to work on. And again, just to add a personal touch to our program here.
Jay, let's talk about what you've gone through personally since the end of last year and the things you've decided to work on and improve.
Shooting, ball handling, decision making, being more aggressive, all in one.
And hopefully that will help the team at large, because you're one of the primary ball handlers. And now we talk about post play, and Jen Haley is, that's what you're known for around here, is post play. Let's talk about your personal experience since the end of last season. What sorts of things have you worked on to improve your game and help the team?
I've been working on free throws. I was terrible at it last year, but also I've been working on my footwork, trying not to walk so much this year.
Okay. Now, let's talk a little about all the things that go into getting ready for a season.
Well, we really had a frank conversation when our season ended, and we got together in April as a group, and this was prior to our freshmen joining us for this year, and talked about where we want to be next season, what our expectations are, and that needed to start today, then back in April. Right. And I think that this group really has embraced that. They had a really good spring where we worked on a lot of different things, but certainly getting stronger in the weight room and some different fundamental flaws that we saw in our game as a whole last year. They had a tremendous summer. I think they worked very hard as a group, which was exciting for me and my coaching staff. And then this fall, again, that has really continued. There's an urgency to this group, which is exciting. And I have to credit these two to my left, and certainly Amanda Dow, another one of our seniors, part of that. We have a senior group that wants to go out on a very high note. They want to do very well. And they brought that urgency with them in every workout all the time, and you can feel it, and it's trickling down among the team, so it's been exciting.
What kind of things did you learn last season about yourself that you didn't know that might be helpful for you here in year 2?
Well, it's certainly, year 1 is a learning year all the way around, and I think I learned a lot about myself as a person. I just want to be the most consistent coach that I can, both off the court and on the court. I want my players to always know where I stand and who I am, and just working through the first year of that and getting them to get to know me. And you have to be patient. You have to be able to change your teaching sometimes to be able to reach players differently. And that's something that I say was maybe the biggest thing that I learned, that patience is okay. And if they don't understand it right away, that's okay. It takes time, and eventually you'll get there.
All right, let's get ready for this year. It's 12-13. It's these ladies' last go-round. You've got a pretty challenging schedule, and what's great about it is there aren't really long stretches of period away from home. You don't have a lot of long homestands, but you get those periods where road, home, so you don't have to be away from Halton Arena for long stretches of time. Let's talk about this year's schedule and kind of the challenges that are laid out for you.
We're excited about how the schedule came together. I mean, every year our goal is to try to put together a schedule that will help prepare us for postseason play, and certainly that's our goal, to be able to make our 11th straight postseason, to be able to contend for an A-10 championship. We're excited about the non-conference. We think we have a great challenge and a great balance to prepare us for the A-10, and then certainly going into the A-10, being our last year in the league, we want to do really well. And I know it's important to these seniors. I know it's important to our team to kind of leave a mark as we move from this conference to the next. So, you know, it's still going to take a lot of work. You know, like we've said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And every day our goal in practice is to get better that day, and by the end of the week we should feel better after that week, and so on and so on. And so hopefully then we get to March and you'll see the fruit of all of our labor.
Thanks a lot for the time. I know it's hard to get you off the court for a half hour, but we do appreciate you coming in and sitting in with us. Best of health to you, and good luck here in year 2 for you. And let's leave a mark on the A-10. Let's make it memorable, huh? Let's get Halton Arena rocking. First home game is Saturday the 10th against North Carolina Central. And you can keep up with us online, www.charlotte49ers.com. Hey, if you're a Twitter fan, go to @cconsuegra, build up her Twitter followers, and we'll be tweeting out @Charlotte49ers as well. I'm Ryan Rose. Thanks for joining us. We will see you in Halton Arena this year. That's our women's basketball closer look. Thanks for watching.
Up next, we explore groundbreaking research into how countless bacteria in our bodies influence our health and well-being. UNC Charlotte professor of bioinformatics Anthony Fodor played a critical role in the National Science Foundation's Human Microbiome project. Inside UNC Charlotte's Lisa Patterson caught up with Dr. Fodor to discuss the results of the project and his latest research collaboration.
Each person is an ecosystem. We know that our individual ecosystems are comprised of genetic material passed to us from our biological parents. We've only recently learned that our ecosystems include a whole host of microbial communities coexisting within our bodies.
There are something like 10 times more microbes within the human body than there are human cells. And there are encoded within the genes of those microbes are something like 100 times more microbial genes than are encoded in the human genome.
UNC Charlotte professor of bioinformatics Anthony Fodor played an important role in the multi-year NIH-sponsored Human Microbiome project. The project mapped the distribution of microbes taken from 18 sites on the bodies of 200 healthy people with the goal of understanding how different microbes contribute to health and disease in the human body.
The Genome Project, more than 10 years ago now, was designed to kind of ask the question, what is the structure of the human genome? And the Human Microbiome Project, which has just been completed, is designed to ask the question, what is the nature of the human microbiome?
A healthy adult human harbors some 100 trillion bacteria in his gut alone. The microbiome, as the body's bacteria are collectively known, includes around 3 million genes. Prior to joining the Human Microbiome Project, Dr. Fodor's lab investigated how nutrition, genetics, and gut bacteria work together to affect an individual's susceptibility to fatty liver disease. UNC Charlotte alumna Melanie Spencer was part of Fodor's research team.
Each person has their own microbiome. It's like a fingerprint. And understanding the microbiome, which bacteria are most important for nutrition, which bacteria may affect chronic disease, gives us an entirely different view on things that we can affect when we're looking at treatments, but also things that help us understand diagnoses much better.
If we have a better understanding of how microbes are contributing to health and disease phenotypes, then by monitoring those microbes using this new sequencing technology, which is only going to get cheaper in the future, we might be able to say, you know, you're actually at risk for this disease, and we know this because you have microbial dysbiosis, and we really couldn't have known that any other way.
Dr. Fodor and his team are working with collaborators at other universities to examine inflammatory diseases of the gut and their relationship to colorectal cancer. One collaboration yielded results that were published in the August issue of the journal Science.
We knew that microbes have an impact on cancer. We have published in 2009 a paper showing that different microorganisms were leading to a different extent of cancer. So we designed an experiment using germ-free mice, which don't have any microorganism in them, and we introduced different bacteria, and we found out that the potential to induce cancer was related to how much inflammation the mouse was developing.
Christian has actually found that you can get mice to progress to cancer if you put some kinds of microbes in the mice, but not others. And so what that suggests is that there's some interaction between our immune system and the microbes that in some cases, in mice that are predisposed to have inflammation anyway, can damage cells and potentially progress them to cancer.
At UNC Charlotte, faculty and students in the Department of Bioinformatics and Genomics utilize cutting-edge technology to process enormous amounts of data from large-scale experiments.
Bioinformatics is the marriage of biology and computer science. As we've gone into genetics and genomics, we've realized that there is so much information packed into DNA, and we need very good computational techniques to mine that information.
We sequence DNA and we generate terabytes of data. So we need bioinformatics to crunch numbers and come up with identity of microbes we're studying.
It's not really that computing has changed that. The theory hasn't changed. It's just what we can do with it has changed because it's so much more mobile. And so we're at the very beginning in some ways of biotechnology because it's something that gets done in labs like this one.
Advances in technology have made initiatives such as the Human Microbiome Project possible.
We couldn't have done the project if we didn't have really big hard drives. If you go back 10 or 15 years, you couldn't buy a 2 terabyte hard drive. Now you can buy one on eBay or at Newegg for $125. And we filled up many of these hard drives with data. The basic foundation has to be there. And in this case, we need fast computers, we need lots of cheap processors, and we need lots of cheap hard disk space.
While great strides have been made in identifying the elements of the microbiome, researchers are just beginning to unravel the microbiome's contribution to chronic disease and many other disorders.
You might make a prediction, well, if this bacteria has these 14 genes, and if I just take out this third gene, or if I find something that will inhibit that third gene, the bacteria won't be able to survive. But often the bacteria has ways, it'll find another way, right? There's some pathway that's not the pathway that you're looking at. So we're still learning how to read a genome sequence, I would say. That's one of the great challenges of my field, is how do you parse this information? But again, these are early days. I think it may take us 100 years, right? But from a historical point of view, 100 years isn't that long in science. We've been doing science for hundreds of years.
The 9th annual Let Me Play Luncheon, fundraiser for women's athletics. And, it's funny, in some of the things they've said about me, they said it was my brainchild. I stole the idea from a conference that I attended, a National Athletic Directors Conference Roundtable, and the University of Santa Clara was presenting that they did this luncheon. Now, ours is a little different. They're private schools, so the school paid for the luncheon. And I'm like, we're a state school, can't do that. We have to get a sponsor. But I came back from that meeting 9 years ago in June and said, we're going to do this. And I said it in June, and we had it in November that year. And our staff was going, we're going to do it when? And the first one, I think we made $60,000 profit, and since then it's just escalated. So our goal today is to net $100,000, and we want to blow that out of the water. So it's just great to have this many people focusing on women's sports and all of the characteristics and qualities that sports provide for a young woman.
This luncheon is to raise money for specifically for women's athletics. So that's near and dear to me since women's volleyball. It's a great event. This is my 6th year coming to it. I think it's a very positive atmosphere, and it kind of reaches all generations, from young kids to women who have been through athletics and been through the business world and all different things in it. It just talks about sport and self-esteem and all the positive things that come out of it that build into future leaders. So it's a great event. I enjoy coming to it, and I enjoy supporting it also.
I am truly a product of Title IX, because when I came through, the law was passed in 1972, and this is the 40th anniversary of Title IX. But people really didn't start implementing it until about the next decade, until about the 1980s. But I got hired because they had to hire, they were going to lose federal aid at universities if they didn't start women's programs. So I was the first women's basketball coach at Charlotte because they had to start the program. And then I've been very fortunate to be at a school that is very progressive and that would allow me the opportunity, because we haven't had but about 3% growth in athletic directors being female. So a ways to go in that one on Title IX.
I really like the fact that Judy Rose in the athletic department makes a concerted effort to support women's athletics, and that's why this event is so special and so neat. And I've been all around the country. You don't see it in a lot of places.
For Charlotte, the 2012 election year taught us many lessons associated with hosting the city's first presidential nominating convention. Renowned presidential historian and author Michael Beschloss shared with us some observations on the role of the United States president in mending political division. We asked him which of our past presidents might be best at getting us past where we are today.
I think if you had to choose a president to come back and break this divide between president and the opposition parties in Congress, you'd probably want a Franklin Roosevelt or a Lyndon Johnson, both the positive and the negative. They were very good at motivating members of Congress by saying, this is why you should do the right thing. And they'd also say, just in case you're not influenced by that, maybe you'd like a dam back in your district or your state. Or on the other side, a Lyndon Johnson or an FDR might suggest or get someone else to suggest, just in case that doesn't work, perhaps you would not like to have your mortgage called, or you would not like to be investigated by the FBI, or you would not like reporters to get certain bad information about you. They could all use the carrot and the stick, but they were also very good at persuading members of Congress. All those things are pretty much things of the past right now, and we've got nothing to substitute.
Thanks once again for joining us. You can see more on the web at inside.uncc.edu, and all of our segments are on YouTube. In the meantime, we look forward to seeing you next time right here inside UNC Charlotte.